you're
Mm.
wanting to change your emotional state, if you're wanting to take command over your emotional states and authority over your emotional states, honestly, like all the arts, I think, be it predominantly visual, performing, or otherwise, are an excellent modality for that. You just need the intention.
Hi, and welcome to Lead Well. Today's conversation is a reminder that impact often starts quietly with creativity, with care, and also consistency. My guest today is Ashlieya Mariano, also known as Lieya. She is the owner of Dance Masters Performing Arts Studio in California, where she has spent years helping young people build confidence, discipline, and self-expression through the arts. And building on that work, Lieya went to found the nonprofit Builders of a Better World, expanding her mission beyond the studio to support children and families in underserved communities through creative and social emotional learning. This is a conversation about purpose, community, and how creativity becomes a force for real change. Ashlieya, I'm really glad you're here.
Oh, thank you, Christine. It's my pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Sure. Now I'm really curious. You started in the performing arts. And at what point did you realize that this work was about more than performance?
When I realized that having access to the performing arts as a child growing up was something that I look back on with so much gratitude and appreciation. It's one of the things when I reflect on my upbringing that I am just so thankful for. It taught me so much. The list could just go on and on. And that's not always accessible to everyone. And I initially just kept going in the world in which was familiar to me, which is that of the performing arts, touring and performing and teaching, and then having a studio, all of that. And I really got into wanting to provide a space for kids. And I realized that there is so much to do with creativity and flow exercise and how that aids in socialization, confidence, self expression, emotional intelligence. It goes so much deeper than just putting on a musical or writing a play or putting together a short film, although I love storytelling so much. I love storytelling. And there's so many brilliant ways in the world of performing arts to do that. That's a big part of what the performing arts is, storytelling. And I wanted to teach children how to be able to use that and channel their most authentic parts of themselves. And then adults as well, because why stop with kids? And then we do families and all of that. So it's something that has been really special to me my entire life.
Wow, wow. And is it helped by movement or is it that it is being on a stage and people watching you? What is it that helps those children and adults?
My gosh, starting at the beginning, the I think the relationship to self is critically important. So when you're in a creative state, when you are in this kind of a flow state, you're uninhibitingly just navigating by your own consciousness. And ideally, you're not really thinking. You're so present in what you're doing. That is extremely good for the brain, be it whatever you're doing in a flow state. You accompany that with movement or with music or something that just really ignites your passion and your soul and that thing. And that to me is pure joy.
Mm.
It's pure joy to be just immersed in a task, and you learn so much about yourself and what that means. So, the relationship to self is one component, which I think is probably the most important. You learn collaboration. So, in an environment with adults, in an environment with children, it's actually really quite similar. We love everyone. We love everyone. People are
Mm.
wonderful. If you're in a mode, right, where you have this, be it a production that you're working towards, maybe it is that performance, maybe it is a film where everyone has their respective role and responsibility, and you have to show up and contribute in that way whilst navigating interpersonal relationships and how you show up as that version of yourself. And there's an aspect to the arts that gets very emotional. There's a vulnerability in what you're giving in those moments and what you're choosing to expand upon. And what you're trying to express is real human emotions. That's a big part of the storytelling aspect. And it brings out interesting dynamics. So the socialization, the emotional intelligence, being able to understand what you're going through and name it and say, this is what I'm experiencing, this is what I'm trying to experience, this is my intention with my experience, and then to receive someone else's experience
Mm.
and that be a part of that collaboration, being understanding and aware and compassionate, accepting, embracing. There's a unity when you're collaborating on something. You have this mutual endeavor that you're all working towards. And for a creative space, in order to have that uninhibited expression and vulnerability, there needs to be a perpetuation of safety. There has to be a container for the ability to express
Mm.
authentically. You show up willing to participate in that, in both the giver of your sense of self, but also the understanding that you are going to contribute to that safe space. So you have all that socialization, emotional intelligence, all of that good stuff on top of knowing yourself ultimately. And then you have all these brilliant ways it's good for your biology and physiology. Music is brilliant for the brain. Learning instruments, playing instruments, that's excellent for your memory, for your cognitive skill. Similarly with dancing. Dancing has been known to aid with people who have Parkinson's and Parkinson's related symptoms. For us in the state of California, if you have medical insurance, a lot of the times you can take a dance class for free if you have Parkinson's. It's been known to aid with preventing Alzheimer's and dementia. Plus, it's a physical activity. All the endorphins that get released in physical activity, good muscle memory, all around good for the body. The benefits are,
Mm.
it's like, why not?
And I can so relate to that because I must admit I love dance and I love Zumba. And I had stopped for about 5 years and I just took it on again 2 months ago. And I am a different person just by going to that Zumba class. It's so amazing.
Beautiful. It's brilliant. That's so excellent. And
Yeah.
to create a space for that, to make that available to anyone and everyone with the intention, if you show up to a Zumba class and you don't intend to get something out of it, right? Intention is so powerful. You show up with the intention to serve your body, serve your mind, serve your soul, to be in this good, positive space, to know that you're going to receive something from it that is going to, in some way, it could heal you, it could transform you, it can change your state. And movement does that. The arts do that. If you're
Mm.
wanting to change your emotional state, if you're wanting to take command over your emotional states and authority over your emotional states, honestly, like all the arts, I think, be it predominantly visual, performing, or otherwise, are an
Mm.
excellent modality for that. You just need the intention.
And where does discipline come in? Because I think that's a point that's also very important to you, is it?
Yeah, we get to pick and choose, I personally think, how we define ourselves and what our relationship is to the concept of identity, right? If I identify as a dancer, I want to be a good dancer. Yeah. Do I have a way of measuring that? Do I have a way of being able to say, this is what I'm working towards and this is what I want to do? And I say my identity is I'm a dancer. What does a dancer's life look like? Am I going to show up on a regular basis? A dancer trains, a dancer takes classes, a dancer is consistent with their practice. That's where the discipline comes in for me personally. If I identify as this part of myself and I want to nurture that part of myself, that requires a consistency,
Mm.
that requires a mindset. I'm going to be there. I want to improve. I strive to continue learning. I strive to continue to do better. Right. That's where the discipline comes in as far as that's concerned. Same thing with playing an instrument.
Mm.
I'm not a protege by any means. If I'm going to be in any way proficient or even just remotely intermediate, who are we kidding, at guitar or right, I play guitar, alto sax. I started doing very beginner piano. You have to practice. So if you're needing something outside of yourself, there's always having goals to work towards. But I advise beyond all else, what do you want as a lifestyle? If you're a guitarist, you're going to implement that into your routines and into your regular activities. That's going to be a part of what you do and how you choose to spend your time. So hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, it does. It does. And I love the fact that you never ever mentioned any type of comparison to others. You
Gosh,
always, when you said discipline, because I want to improve, I want to be the person, I want to be the dancer, I want to be the performer.
exactly. Exactly.
Mm,
We shouldn't be comparing ourselves to anyone
mm,
in any situation, in my opinion, but especially when it comes to something creative, it's like it's
mm,
you, for you,
mm,
by you. We do these things hopefully because they're, again, it's an extension of what brings us this joy and this expansion and this happiness.
mm,
And that's what I think, a lot of people, if nothing else, you get to come to a class, try a program, and find out what does work for you along the way. And it's okay if it's not dance, it's okay if it's not music, if it's not theater, but you tried it.
mm,
And you can say, oh, yeah, I actually found something in watercolor painting
mm,
or whatever it is for you, pottery,
mm,
something of that sort. And that to me is still a brilliant thing to gift yourself the ability of experience, the opportunity to try something and say, I didn't get out of it what I get from this. Because you don't really know until
yeah, until you try. Yeah,
exactly.
wow.
Exactly.
Now you have helped a lot of individuals with yours in your studio. And then I assume you still had the feeling that there was something missing because you then went on to found the builders of the better world.
Yeah. Yeah. Firstly, I should just say definitively, I'm a very growth mindset oriented person. So there's always aligning, expanding, improving. Not to say that I'm not perfectly happy in the present moment, because I do genuinely strive to have that sense of presence and not be constantly going, what can I improve? Having said that, though, as a business owner, right, you learn so much
Mm,
as an entrepreneur, as someone who needs to abide by state laws and right, there are procedures that you must abide by when navigating your business. And I realized when I got into working with public schools here in California, I had experience working with public schools in other states as well. In the state of California, there's a huge deprivation for arts. There's a huge deprivation for any recreational activity in public schools now.
mm,
And so when I was able to secure contracts with the public school system, I realized I was operating as a nonprofit. And that said a little something about the way I needed to structure things just foundationally within the business to align with the way in which I was actually navigating. So I felt as though, honestly, it was meant to be for me to move forward
mhm,
and found a nonprofit ultimately, no matter what I did. But that was really telling with where I was in that moment. And then I wanted to surrender my, not authority, although I have very much surrendered that as well. I didn't want to be the face. When you're the owner and you bear all the responsibility, the business is an extension of me. The nonprofit, by definition, is not owned by me. It's an ours. It's a for the communities. It's for the people who can benefit from it. It is made up of all the people that come together to help provide services and help create the programs and help make it work. It's a real collective.
mm,
And that's what Builders of a Better World needs to be. It's all of us and it's for all of us. It's not mine. And I didn't want to have the same attachment to it emotionally. I wanted to structure it and build it and then just let it sail the way it's meant to and detach in the most beautiful way possible with whatever it's meant to ultimately do. We have so many plans and we've done so many incredible things already. I'm really looking forward to what comes next. And it's exciting not being the person who, you know, decides and dictates every little decision. It's exciting feeling like I'm along with the discovery of it and allowing so many other brilliant minds to come forward and contribute their own piece of it,
Mm.
and allowing that to be what ultimately gives it its shape and foundation. And yeah, it makes me very warm and fuzzy on the inside to think about.
Yeah, I can almost feel that. Can you share a moment where you saw real change happen for a child and family that you supported?
Yeah, like specifically, there's always a few individuals that stand out. It gets hard to want to choose some over the other to talk about, to be honest. And that might seem silly because no one knows who I would be acknowledging necessarily. But there's been a consistent evolution with the way I viewed someone else's transformation or takeaway or benefit from it. Now, when I watch a child really get that burst of excitement because they got it, right? They've been studying or they've been practicing, and that which they weren't good at before, they're now able to celebrate as being good at. And then to watch that translate in how they move through the world, how they carry themselves when they walk in the door, how they greet their family when they come to collect them after the lesson or a performance of some kind, and to watch, and I say watch, not that I'm clairvoyant, you can see the vibration emanating off of them. And it's different than the first meeting. It's different than the unsure. It's different than when they're navigating this unfamiliar. And now the unfamiliar is familiar. And not only is it familiar, it's loved. And it's loved not from a place of something external. I love guitar. I'm watching them play the guitar and I'm getting excited for them. I did that. I did that performance. I nailed that choreography. I got the standing ovation at the end of the show. And you see them embody it, embodying all that is for them and how that resonates in the room. There are no words to describe what that feels like.
Wow.
As
Mm.
a teacher, it used to be because I don't teach anymore if I can
Mm.
avoid it. I
Mm.
facilitate workshops and I lead retreats and I do things, but I was a teacher for many years. It was one of my first jobs. And it used to be that you got satisfaction from the student, be it a child or adult, catching on to the thing you taught them. We made progress. There's a satisfaction there where you're like, I taught you and I'm a good teacher. There's a little bit of an ego that gets associated with it, and you're attached to the event or that relationship in a more intertwined way. Whereas now, when I can perceive it as solely their journey and their own individualized experience and their pride and their joy, and again, that love for this now extension of themselves. And I feel privileged just to be in the room.
More of a witness than someone who is in.
Yeah, I get
Mm.
to just watch, and it doesn't have to have anything to do with me. And I don't I don't want credit. It's not mine, it's theirs. They showed up, they participated, it's their investment as the individual and it's their
Mm.
takeaway and they are what is creating it for them. And it's just yeah, it is excellent to get to witness, to say the
Wow.
least.
Oh. And many people really want to help, but they feel unsure where to start. So, what do you believe meaningful volunteering should actually look like?
I'm writing a book and I talk about this in my book. There's two answers to that question, and the first one is going to seem a little, we'll see how concisely I can articulate this because there's a reason I'm literally writing a book. I personally, so one of my favorite words, it's how I navigate my day, is intention, right? And I think all of us get really conditioned to seek the significance or the why for that intention outside of ourselves. And we tend to navigate based on shoulds and shouldn'ts. And I personally think that kind of derails us from our own authentic internal navigation system. I believe very fully, wholeheartedly, that when we get really in touch with, when we get really in tune with our internal navigation system, and we make those external contributions from that place, there is nothing more fulfilling and rewarding in the world for you, the
Mhm.
being, showing up to the cause or the event, writing the check, whatever it is that you're doing to be of service, right? When you believe to your core, that act of service is in alignment with who you are as a human. You are so released from any external consequence or praise or that sense of entitlement. I did this, I deserve that. You relinquish that entirely and you find yourself far less depleted. You're not exhausted.
Mhm.
That contribution that you gave, that piece of yourself that you brought to whatever that thing was, that mission, that purpose, that day, we're building a water well, or we're building school backpacks, or whatever it is that you're doing, you might be tired at
Mhm.
the end of it, but there's a part of you that was nourished. There's a
Mhm.
part of you that was almost reinvigorated. There's a part of you that was like, ah, I got just as much as I gave, if not more. You're not sacrificing. You're not sacrificing your time. You're not sacrificing that money. You're not sacrificing your back. I don't know what building a water well is. I would love to find out though. You have a sense of, it's not necessarily pride. It's just you were acting in accordance to, in alignment with that which you are authentically best doing.
Mhm.
I believe we all feel called to be of service in some way. I think to the core of our essence, we want to contribute because we are a part of everything. We are a part of this whole. We make up that which we are involved in so completely. So to be intentional with your contribution, to be intentional with that navigation system, I think you give the most in the best way you possibly can.
Wow.
Our emotions drive us. You find the thing that sets your heart on fire. For me, we can reference this if you don't mind me talking about it. I'm a huge feminist. Huge. I participate, I do the things, I get involved, I speak about it. I come from a place of love and a place of expansion and this unity. So, how did I find that? Well, of course, there was something that ticked me off for a moment. And
Mhm.
I had to alchemize that emotion and then navigate from a state of coherence. And then that's how you find what you choose to participate in if you're wanting to be of service.
Mhm.
So, in selecting something, I don't think anyone can just donate to a food shelter and go, oh, that ignited my soul. Maybe, maybe. I think people tend to do things like that because it's a should rather than something they woke up in the morning feeling called to do. And that's the difference. And then people say, based on what I've recorded on paper, I'm a good person. I deserve this and this from the world and from the universe.
Yeah.
And it doesn't work that way. I don't believe it works that way anyway. Anyone else is entitled to think however they want to, but
Mhm.
that would be my response to that question.
Wow. Now, as you look ahead, what kind of world are you trying to help build, and what gives you hope right now?
Unified consciousness is the goal.
Mhm.
Contributing in a positive way, and therein anything everywhere in anything I do. That is the intention, is to be a positive influence, not an influencer like you hear now, but to be someone that just in my beingness, I contribute goodness to with intention.
Mhm.
That consciously or unconsciously is received by everything around me. And that is unified consciousness affecting other people, then aligning in a way. My joy then is an extension of your joy, is an extension of her joy. Same thing with love, same thing with gratitude, etc. I show up in a grateful state right? My energy and my vibration is aligned with that. Be it my home environment, be it at the bank, be it at the pharmacy picking up a prescription, I would like to think that even in the smallest way, I have a positive effect.
Mm.
That's Builders of a Better World. That's the purpose of Builders of a Better World, is unified consciousness, understanding that you contribute to everything. So if you are to be of service, the best thing you can do is serve yourself, live in your joy, live in your happiness. At the core, we're all the same. My joy truly would never harm anyone else. And I believe that is the way for everyone. So that's
Mm.
what Builders is intended to do.
Wow.
That's how I move through the world. We're all here to be happy, healthy humans, living our creative joy, expressing ourselves, being emotionally intelligent, mindful of how we move through the world. And yeah, it's a way to expand upon your sense of self as the extension of the whole.
In a kind way and a caring way of others.
Yeah, non-judgment.
Mm.
Non-judgment is really important. You're not going to judge yourself. You're not going to judge someone else. The
Mm.
relationship you have to yourself is very heavily intertwined with the relationship you express to other people.
Mm.
And so it's important to nurture that and foster that and take care of that and have that be what comes first. Builders of a Better World, the whole mission is to understand that building a better world is an inward to outward process. And that's something that I hope now can move forward and just continue to grow the way that it's intended to just continue for that to be of service to people
Mm.
and for people then to optimally and most effectively be of service for others.
Wow. Wow. Now, how can people find Builders of a Better World?
Yes, so we have our website, buildersofabetterworld.org. That's a really great place to go. And then we do have a YouTube channel. I have a podcast, Builders of a Better World, and we have an Instagram, Builders of a Better World.
Okay.
So we're all over, out and about. So yeah, definitely go to our website, buildersofabetterworld.org.
Wow. Ashlieya, it was wonderful to hear about all your great work. And thank you so much for sharing it. Thank you for all the good you're doing for yourself and the world in that combination. It was wonderful to have you as a guest. Thank you so much.
Truly my pleasure. Thank you.
This was Lead Well. Now, what is the one thing that you're taking away from this episode? Please share in the comments below and do share the podcast with your friends and family, but only if you like it.